So one of the things I despise the most, actually I find it somewhat challenging, is soldering. And I don't have a fancy soldering station, so I keep it very simple because I don't usually often solder. But I had to cut the motor leads off of this reedy black box speed control and unsolder them because those wires were very, very short. I had this in an associated B6.1, and where you usually mount the ESC, and then the distance from that to the motor is very short, so you don't need that long of cables. But for my Super Astute, you do. It's a little bit more lengthier. So I had to totally take off those wires and put new ones on. And I have 2 out of the 3 on. The third one isn't on at the moment because I had to unsolder it because I was having so much difficulty getting it on right before. And the solder, I guess, bridged from this cup to the next one over and basically was connecting it right in between. And so I wanted to make sure I got that solder out between the two, and the only way I could do that was by taking this wire off. So I'm going to put that one back in and get this all fitted into the car, and I'll show you how that looks after. So the one thing great about soldering is that once you're done, you can put some heat shrink over it and make it look nice and clean. Alright, so we're just about done here. The wires have been soldered to the motor, and what can I say? It's not the greatest, but hey, a lot better than what I did to the Speedo before. And those wires are going to run just on the inside of the shock and the shock tower. I'm going to use a zip tie just to give me a couple more millimeters of clearance right in here to keep these wires pressed up against the shock tower. And I'm going to spin this around. Right to the ESC it goes. And this is the battery I'm probably going to end up using with this whole setup. 2S Venom LiPo battery. And yeah, now I'm going to put in the servo and going to finish up the body. Savox servo, and the steering is aligned, so I'll show you that in a second when I bench test this. But it's really coming together really nicely, I have to say. I'm really impressed with this car. It's a sharp looking car. To me, a traction control system, that is to me is fancy way of saying slipper clutch. What's nice is this cap just pops off. Lets you get your wrench in there to adjust your slipper clutch to the different conditions of the track. For me, it's not really going to matter because once I adjust it, it's going to stay like that because I'm only running this on pavement. There are no tracks by my house in Long Island, New York. The only track was a carpet track, which is what I was in a race, an associated B6.1 with this motor, as a matter of fact. This Reedy Sonic S Plus 17.5 brushless motor. That was in that car, and it never saw the ground. Basically, I built it, got it all together, and was going to go race it at the track, and the track closed. Only one. So that's been sold. I pulled that motor out, and the motor is now in the Super Astute. Super Astute body's painted and decaled up, and I have to say, nothing screams 80s and early 90s more than neon, and that's what you have here. And for that reason, at first, you know, I wasn't a big fan of the color scheme. I do like the decal arrangement on here and the print. I think that's pretty cool. One thing to note is that this is not one big continuous decal. It's actually the blue and the yellow are together and the pink is separate, and you actually have to line up black on here which is really the only pain in the butt when putting these decals on. When I saw that originally, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. But it wasn't so bad. But you know what? I was originally gonna go with a different color scheme. I was gonna do this gunmetal and order alternate decals from MCI with different colors. And then when I unboxed it, looked at the decals, started to build it, I was thinking, you know what? I'm a purist, and I just have to go box art. And now that I went box art, you know, I have no regrets. It looks good. It's growing on me. It came out stunning, I have to say. It's a sharp-looking buggy. So let me get the body on, and I'll show you the completed car. Well, here she is, the Super Astute in all of her glory. All done and ready to run. Now I just have to wait for it to warm up a little bit outside because we are going through what the weathermen are calling a polar vortex. And when it gets into the 30s, I get some footage of this running. And that's really my plan for this. And so just keep an eye out for that video. But in the meantime, I'm gonna hopefully put out a couple other videos on a couple new buggies I got. And my thoughts on this, well, I definitely see where Tamiya was going with fixing the shortfalls of the Astute and you know, obviously making the changes to the Super Astute to make it a more competitive race-ready buggy. I will be putting a video out doing a side-by-side comparison of the Astute to the Super Astute, so that's another video you should keep an eye out for. My only, I'm not going to say concern, but something that just bothers me a little bit is for the price you pay for this buggy, really, Tamiya, metal bushings for the front wheels. You couldn't include 4 ball bearings. I mean, not a big deal. It could easily be replaced, and I just built this thing completely stock, and I will swap those out, but I just wanted to share that with everybody. I mean, in the States, to pay $300 for this kit, you couldn't include some ball bearings. You should send me some ball bearings. A lifetime supply of ball bearings, Tamiya. Anyways, so I'm sorry this video wasn't as spectacular as some of my other ones, but I just wanted to give everybody an update as to where I'm at with the build, so it's complete, and the next video on my Super Astute will be running. So thank you, and again, your support is greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and keep an eye out for some future videos.